Hello guys, welcome back to another one of my World of Tanks tank reviews. This is Eamon the Man, and today we will be reviewing the M7 medium tank. So starting off, here's what the plan will be on this review. Just look at all. First of all, we're gonna look over the overall tank statistics, hit points, engine power, top speed, stuff like that. Then we're gonna look at the gun. And then we're going to compare it to other tier 5, either light tanks or medium tanks. I was thinking of comparing this to the Crusader and the Chaffee, since the Chaffee is connected to the M5 Stuart, the tank before the M7. So, let's get started. The M7 is a tier 5 American medium tank, which really plays like a light tank in general, but it doesn't have like a light tank matchmaking, so that really helps it out. So let's look at the hit points. So 440 hit points, I think that's the exact same as it had the exact same amount of hit points that the Chaffee has. If I look at it, like 40. The only difference is 40 hit points. Maybe I wonder if the Chaffee gets another turret. I don't know, because it does get another turret. Maybe it has more hit points after that, but I think it's very similar hit points to the Chaffee. So now let's but 440 is not that much, I don't think. So if I compare it to, I don't know, the M4. Okay. Thought it was a bit less, actually. Okay. Yeah, so like, for example, the Crusader has a bit more than others, I guess. I honestly thought it would be a bit less, but apparently it's pretty average. Yeah, so there we go, the Panzer 4H has 440. But yeah, so 440 actually isn't that bad. I thought it was a bit less than the average, but it's not bad. This tank doesn't weigh that much. I mean, 25.5 ton weight limit is not too much. Yeah, so as you can see, the Sherman 3 weighs 34 tons. Oh, see, yeah, 465 hit points. So, yeah, it's pretty average. Engine power, 460 with its weight. This tank accelerates, I want to say, it's, okay, it doesn't accelerate slowly, but it doesn't accelerate too quickly. It's kind of average in that sense. Its top speed is fantastic for a medium tank, and that's why when I said it plays a lot like a light tank, that's how it plays a lot like a light tank. This top speed and the traverse speed too, with 48 degrees of traverse speed, is very good for a medium tank, and it doesn't get light tank matchmaking. So you can see this kind of messing around with even tier 7 tanks and heavy tanks and tank destroyers, just kind of going around them and using that speed and traverse speed just to get around the tanks and kind of taking them out. So now the whole armor, this tank has no armor. It's well rounded, so I actually have bounced a couple shots. If you've seen my last video, the mastery badge with the mastery badge ace tanker of my M7 and the T2 light tank that I have right here, I actually bounced a shot from the M4 on like the side here because I was somewhat well angled, and since it's very well rounded, it bounced off. So you can pull off some of the miracle bounces, and I actually have pulled off a miracle bounce with the turret of this tank. Not really with the gun mantlet, because it's not that well armored, but with the sides of the turret, as you can see, it's well rounded again. If they hit you when your turret is slightly angled, you actually can bounce some shots. I took a Hellcat by surprise once, just by speeding around the corner, and he shot and he hit my turret, and he hit right here, and it ricocheted off, and I ended up killing him. That was really cool. So you can pull off some miracle bounces with this tank. Then, yeah, so we'll go into the gun later on. Her traverse speed 46, which is good. The view range, so I have optics, and yeah, I have optics, and so the view range is better, and so is the signal range, 794 and 426 in view range, and 794 in signal range. So yeah, so now let's look at the gun selection on this tank. So it really has a choice of two guns, either this 75mm or this the 6-pounder. So the 6-pounder is very similar to the Crusader's 6-pounder. I'll compare that later. So yeah, so 75, the caliber is obviously different. The damage output on the 75mm. It's 110 damage per shot, well, versus 75. But the rate of fire on the 6-pounder, I don't know why I keep saying quarter pounder. The 6-pounder is 26.09, and with a gun rammer, I can bring down the actual reload time to 1.94 seconds, which is very, very good. Yeah. Also, another reason to choose the 6-pounder would be that the penetration is more than the one on the 75mm, and the APCR rounds are good enough to even go through the front of tier 6 heavies and even the front of Tigers if you shoot them in the right places. Yeah. Also, this gun is more accurate. Its aiming time is a bit less, but only by 0.1, so that's not too much. I don't know if the weight would really make much of a difference, but yeah, the 6-pounder, in my opinion, is a better suited gun for this tank. I've only used the 75mm a couple times while I was grinding out for the 221, but yeah, I really prefer the 6-pounder more. So yeah, the 6-pounder would be my choice if you ever play the M7. So yeah, that's the gun. Now let's move on to comparing it with other tanks. So let's move on to comparing with the Chaffee, which I think would probably be the question that most people have, which tank to get after the M5, you know, the Chaffee or the M7. So let's take out just the general stats of each tank. So I don't know if the turret will give the Chaffee more hit points. I think it does. I think they have the exact same amount of hit points, 440. But obviously the M7 weighs more. It's a medium tank. That's why it's classified as a medium tank. In fact, it would be a light tank if it weighed a bit less. But since it does weigh 23.68 tons in my setup, it's considered a medium tank. So yeah. So let's move on to engine power. So apparently this should accelerate faster, but since it does weigh a bit more, I'm not really positive with all the stats since I never actually had the Chaffee. I'm thinking about trying to get it and just comparing them like that, but at the moment I'm not really sure. So Chaffee top speed is faster than the M7. Traverse speed is actually worse than the M7. Worse armor, standard shell damage. I'll check the guns later and compare the guns. Rate of fire 15.79, so you know the M7 has a better rate of fire, and yeah, everything else. But that's really the main point. So let's look at the gun now. And I think I memorized the gun stats. So whoops, memorized the gun stats on the M7. So I think the Chaffee gets the 75mm. Yeah. So it gets just like 4 more penetration than the actual 75mm that the M7 gets. So it's not that good. I mean, it is a light tank, so it's made for flanking, but so is the M7. So I prefer the M7 over the Chaffee, but not really positive. I've never actually played the Chaffee before, but just by looking at the hard stats, that I just think the M7 is better. So yeah. So anyway, as you can see, I do pretty well in this tank. I already have 2 marks of excellence on it, and I'm trying to get my 3rd one. I'm kind of grinding towards that. But yeah. So and here's my first woman crew member, the female crew member that I got, and I put it on the M7 because I really like the M7, and that's why I put it on the M7. So yeah, so enough chit chat, let's move on to one of the replays. But wait, I forgot this. Okay, I forgot to compare it to the Crusader. Let's just move on to that now. Should be okay. Shall we? I don't know why I said should we. All right. So did the Crusader? I compared to the Crusader because they had the same gun. Yep. Same gun. It actually has the worst gun. Okay. The Crusader, on the other hand, is a light tank. So it can get into tier 8 matches, but this tank, for some reason, also gets into tier 5 matches. I'm really confused. But, yeah. Overall, the M7's a better tank. But when it comes to the gun, I just wanted to see this because the guns compare very similarly. They have the same 6-pounder gun. And if you've ever played the Crusader, I'd recommend trying out the M7 because they have such similar guns. And if you like the Crusader while going up to the Cromwell, I would recommend getting the M7 if you don't have it already. So yeah, they play very similarly, other than the fact that the M7 is a bit faster. So yeah, you see, the penetration and the rate of fire is actually worse. So I wonder if I put a gun lane drive on this, how fast that would fire, but I didn't try it out, so yeah. So, you know, that's it. I said I was going to compare these 3 tanks together. I would recommend going to the M7 instead of the Chaffee. But then, I guess, the other tanks down the line are a bit better. Down the new light tank line that they just added in the new patch. Like the T37 is better than, I think, is better than the T21. I don't know about the M41 Walker Bulldog to the T71. I don't have that experience. If you want to look that up, I don't know at the moment. When I do a T71 review, I could probably compare those 2 tanks. But right now, the M7 is the better choice between, in my opinion, the Chaffee and the M7. So, yeah, so now I think I covered everything. So let's move on to the replays. Alright guys, so this is one of my games on Redshire. Yep. I'm in my M7, like I probably should be. And, yeah, so, don't really know what I'm trying to say here. But, while this was happening, I kind of stay still at the beginning of the game because, for some reason, XVM isn't working, and that's why I have this new mod. Yeah, anyway, that happens when I try to click control. Anyway, so yeah, you'll see me typing in chat. So, anyways, let's move on to what I probably should be saying. So while I'm on this map, where I want to go while I'm in a fast tank, this is also like kind of a map review, I guess. In a fast tank, I always try to go here, in this general location. So, yeah, that's the map part of this. Anyway, so, fast tank, tier 6 match, I'm thinking, so let's stay back at the beginning of this game, you know, tier 6 match, and very not well armored medium tank, just stay back, try to spot some tanks, coming down this line here, the 2 line, and even spot them if they come up here. So, yeah, so I just kind of stay here for a bit, trying to see if I can spot any tanks at all, and yeah. So, we spot an M5, don't have shots on him, I don't really want to feel like poking the ridge, so, yeah, I'm trying to find a position here to try to shoot a tank, but nothing seems to be popping up here, and the gun depression on this tank isn't too bad. Whoop. It's not too bad, so, yeah. So, we spot a T150 there, and so we try to put shots into him. And trying to stay behind cover here so so he doesn't spot me. So I switched to APCR now and try to put some better shots into him. There we go. And I can pen him all day now with the APCR. So already 139 damage dealt. And right now, again, I didn't have XVM on for some reason because it wasn't working. So I had no idea how much damage I was going to do in this game. So you know. Just to keep that in mind. So I'm just kind of looking for some other shots here. In a fast maneuverable tank, trying to look for some tanks to shoot at here. There seems no pressure coming down this 5 line or like D5, anything like that. There's a Chinukai, but nothing else spotted. Oh, but there's a Cromwell and a Fury. Alright. So, seems like we're gonna win this flank here, but we don't know where their other tanks are. Since they aren't spotted already over here, I'm betting they're over here. So, there we go. T14 spotted, and there's a T1 heavy. So, I've been spotted now. See if I can put some shots into that T14. Obviously, when you're in a lightly armored tank, in a fast tank especially, you want to try to stay alive and not take any hits for as long as you possibly can. And, yeah, so there's a T1 heavy, and yeah, so this is a T1 heavy, you know, easily penetrated if I can actually hit him. So now I decide to go help out that Cromwell, who's getting kind of pushed by the T1 heavy, and the Fury that's over there as well. So I decide to see if I can do anything about it. Hopefully he won't die before I get there. There he is. Alright, the Cromwell's able to take him out. And there's the Fury. So yeah. So we're winning pretty comfortably right now, And there's the T40. Just kind of, there's the rate of fire of this thing that worked. I believe its DPM is about 2,100 is what it is. Just kind of, you know, pretty careless team there, just kind of moving up there. And the Fury wasn't even a bad player. He was better than I am. But yeah, so there's the T40. So what you want to, here, let me just pause this real quick. What you want to do in this tank is really take advantage of those tanks that are slow moving tanks and like tank destroyers and heavy tanks. This tank just feasts on those slow moving tanks. It just goes around them easily with its traverse speed, and its speed is just fantastic. And since it doesn't see any tier 8s, it has no problem with penetrating them, especially the sides and the rear. So yeah, anyway, let's keep going. So we know there's a Cromwell right up there, and the Chinukai. So we don't know if there's anything else up here. We don't know where the Hellcat is. M8A1, but there's the Hellcat. There's a Cromwell. Don't really know what he's trying to shoot at. So now I'm shooting him with shoots me back. Can't really commentate while so many things are happening. So what happened there is, you know, the Cromwell came down here. I auto-aimed on him, just kind of took him out, set him on fire, and yeah, it wasn't too hard. So now there's an M8A1 right here in a Chinukai, so let's see if we can put some more shots into them. M8A1. There's a rock there, probably see the rock, so Chinukai, but there's an M8A1 at low, came out, there we go. Sketchy shot there, but it still went in, so I'm happy that it still went in. There's a Hellcat there. I'm not sure. He's behind a rock, I think, so I'm at my 5th kill here, and I'm thinking I'm never going to get to that AMX 13F3 in time, so I'll just head up and see if I can kill the Hellcat. So yeah, so I'm at 5 kills, and I really want to try to get my top gun, but sadly, spoiler, I'm not going to be able to get that. Obviously, the AMX 13F3 will die either because the KV-220 rams him, or yeah. So there he goes, and that's basically it for the rest of the game. Hellcat dies, and not really fast enough to get to position, but doesn't really matter. It still did 1,334 damage, which is fine with a gun that does only 75 damage per shot. So, you know, wasn't too bad, not too shabby. So yeah, let's move on to the post-game stats now. Alright guys, so here we go. These are the post-game stats. 23,370 credits made with 1,798 experience. That's doubled. So, T1 heavy, 131 damage. Well, anyway, that's not really important. Got a mastery badge, ace tanker. Nothing else too big here other than the mastery badge, ace tanker. Killed 5 tanks, damaged a couple, destroyed a couple. So yeah, let's look at the team score here. I got 2nd in damage dealt, behind the M36 Jackson, who did very well this game with 1,675 damage, and me with 1,334. But again, I'm a tier 5 medium tank that does 70 damage per shot, while the Jackson has a gun that does about 200 per shot. Anyway, yeah, so good luck, nice job, Jackson. Experience earned, top on experience, you know, tier 5 tank, tier 6 match, shot a couple of tier 6s, and yeah, so there goes the experience. Detailed report, nothing too big. Obviously, because I shot the APCR rounds, I lost a bit of money. And yeah, so 10,966 credits earned there. So yeah, now the next replay I'm going to show you guys isn't going to be a replay showing, like, it's not going to be a good game, but it will be showing off the qualities of the M7 and what it can do when it's in a sticky situation. So yeah, let's move on to that. Alright guys, so once again, this was not a particularly good game, but it shows off the qualities of the M7. So we are on the Siegfried line. Okay, anyway, don't really know how to say that. It's an encounter match, tier 6, and yeah, so don't really want to go city in this tank, you know, because it's not really a frontally, I mean, I can flank there, but not worth the risk. There's some pretty big tanks on the enemy team that can easily take me out. So I decide to head out in this direction here. I'm just trying to see if I can hide behind these little places here, and try to see if I can move up once in a while and see if I can spot some other tanks and let my team shoot them. So yeah, so play this as a light tank, and yeah, try to keep as many hit points as possible until the end of the game. Then you can kind of go ham. So nothing spotted yet. Obviously, patience is important when you're playing a light tank or a scout. At least the way I play them. I try to stay a bit passive at the beginning of the game and then go aggressive. So there's a T1 Heavy who's pretty well angled towards me. I moved back for some reason, thinking that I've been spotted, but I have 6th sense on this. I realized that, and I moved back. So he's pretty well angled towards me, and I don't decide to use APCR after a while, because with 105 millimeters of armor, you can't really penetrate that many tanks, especially heavy tanks. But you know, there was a kill.
Penetration.
And already 208 damage done, and that was 3 shots in what, like 4 seconds? So every 4 seconds this gun technically does 208 damage, and if you penetrate them too. So yeah. So now there's a Cromwell, and Cromwells can be pretty nasty targets, or pretty nasty to face, since he does have more health and his rate of fire isn't bad either. But now that I have the Cromwell, I realize that its turret traverse isn't that good. So now I've been spotted. So I try to take advantage of this later on. So I realize there's an SU-100 over there, and I decide to not poke my tank around there. So I kind of try to stay back, and he shoots me, so I decide to twist my tank in this direction so that he cannot possibly shoot me from that angle. And he's already getting rushed by the Hellcat, T-67, and other tanks. So I have an SU-85B right there who's helping me out here. And I realized that there's a T-67 coming up over here, so kind of getting a bit scared. Not really sure what to do here. So SU-85B helping me out here, taking some shots. I'm just trying to stay behind this, and I realized the Cromwell is trying to go around the corner, and I'm getting kind of scared now. I realize that he's shooting the SU-85B, and he's about to die. So there's nothing else I can do, and I decide to rush him. So there's this turret traverse, you know, a lot slower than my tank.
Ready to fire.
Pop up behind him, bounces off me.
Enemy armor is damaged.
There we go, take him out.
Enemies.
There's a T-67 who decides to come and ram me, and
They're knocked down.
you know, that's the end of it. We ended up winning this game. As you can see, we're capping. But yeah, so this was really, so I want to go back, but I don't want to go through the entire process of that. Anyway, so as you can see, I was going to get rushed by these 2 tanks. So what I decided to do was not be the one that they're attacking, but go out and attack them. So what I want to do is, when I see that there's 2 tanks about to flank me, I want to try to surprise them. So what I did was so I was behind this rock here, right? There's a T-67 right here and a Cromwell right here. They just killed my only backups, the only support that I had. That's the 85B, right? So what I decided to do is, I already noticed that we were capping, and there was no one near the cap circle that could defend it. So I realized we were probably going to win this game. So I was like, you know what? Let's just risk it to get the biscuit. And yeah, so the Cromwell was here, T-67 was back here. And so as the T-67 decided to go around, I saw that the Cromwell was still there, and as soon as the Cromwell shot, I decided to move. And so since the Cromwell doesn't have that good turret traverse that I was talking about earlier, I was able to go around the Cromwell without him actually damaging me at all, because he bounced off the back of my tank. Like I said, you know, miracle bounces. Anyway, yeah, so I was able to take him out and actually do, I don't know, 474 damage to the Cromwell. And I did 865 damage this game, which isn't bad either, you know? With a gun that does 70 damage. Again, not a bad, not bad. So, yeah, this wasn't a particularly good game. but it really showed off the qualities and the skills that you can use on the M7. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Yeah, that's it. And so I've also been asked a couple times by a couple of my friends when I'll be uploading new videos. I've been thinking on uploading from Sunday all the way to Wednesday. So between those days, expect at least one video. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.